When I started reading books about personal development, one of the first topics that caught my attention was finances. For a kid with no money and no way to further his education, these books made a huge difference in my life. I can confidently say that it was my pursuit of a little more money that led me to stumble upon many other areas of personal development. And seeing so many people still getting stuck on simple things, I decided to make a video sharing the major insights from some of these books and put them here so you too can start doing what I began to do, and which is the key to stretching your paycheck or getting closer to financial independence. The average person spends almost their entire salary on things that other people created. They work to have money to buy a 4K TV, an expensive car, or to visit as many gourmet places as possible to take photos with their new phone. They spend most of their time thinking about how to make money so they can consume even more. On the other hand, a person starts to get wealthy when they stop thinking about consuming and start spending more time thinking about how to create things for others to consume. Unlike the average person, the wealthy one has already realized that we don't have two lives, a professional and a personal one. In reality, we have just one life that should integrate everything. So there's no make money at work to spend it during free time mindset. What really happens is that we have 24 hours a day, and they should be used to add value both to your products and to yourself. Tip number 1. Combine your personal and professional life. You only have one life. Now, another thing. What are you doing every day that brings no value to your life? Do you spend too much time on your phone, watch too much TV or series on your laptop? I'm not saying these activities are inherently bad. For instance, if I use my phone to talk to people hundreds of miles away, that's great. But if I use my phone when I'm with a group of friends, just to see what other people are doing at that moment, that's terrible. If I'm watching TV or any other media just to learn about the lives of famous actors, that's bad. But if I'm using it to stay informed, learn new things, or even study human behavior, that's awesome. People spend huge amounts of their lives doing and watching things that are completely disconnected from their own lives, like soap operas, pointless videos, and series on the computer. We all do this, but the real issue is the difference in time each person spends on these activities. These things bring almost no value and consume a lot of time. In other words, these people spend so much time on entertainment that they don't have time to develop themselves and create new possibilities in their lives. Tip number 2. Reflect on how you use your time. Now, something I used to do a lot, and I'm even a bit embarrassed to admit. I would spend countless hours going from supermarket to supermarket in search of the best deals, and on my best days, I would save about $5. And since I know there are others who do this or something similar, like washing their own car instead of paying someone or baking a cake to avoid spending at the bakery, let's go back to the supermarket example. Let's say I spent 4 hours doing all this research, and if I shopped at the closest supermarket, I'd spend 1 hour. So I spent 3 hours working on something that saved me $5. In other words, for many years of my life, I was working for less than $2 an hour, practically slave labor. Now imagine all that time spent creating new possibilities for your life. Even juggling at a traffic light would have made me more money than that. Tip number 3. Pay the necessary price to make time for the really important things. The other day, I decided to do something I had never done before in my life, which was visit a branded clothing outlet. I still haven't had the courage to step into the actual brand's store. And surprisingly enough, even there, the clothes were incredibly expensive. What's even more surprising is that I know many people who earn so little and yet spend all their savings there. They pay the price to look rich and, in doing so, miss the chance to actually become rich. Investing time and money in trying to appear wealthy makes it even harder to become wealthy because we're spending our precious money on luxuries that, in reality, bring little to no value. Luxury should never be seen as a life goal, but rather as a byproduct of your success. When luxury is the goal, it only adds more expenses, whereas when luxury is the effect, it further amplifies your achievements. Tip number 4. Stop trying to look rich. Now, if you ask someone how they earn their monthly income, the answer is almost always the same: from my job. I work 40 hours a week and that's where all my money comes from. But if you ask the same question to someone who's on the path to wealth, the answer would be different, maybe even hard to explain because they have multiple streams of income. I'm not saying you should try to be all over the place, quite the opposite. You need to focus on one area. What I mean is that by focusing on one area, several opportunities will arise within it. The key is to dive as deep as possible into that area to understand how it works. Many people worry about losing their job because it's their only source of income. But what if you knew that your job was just one of the many sources of income you had? I can guarantee that it would make you an even better employee because the fear of losing your job wouldn't drain so much of your energy. Tip number 5. Have multiple sources of income. One of the saddest things I witness is how the average person spends over 10 years in school, and once they're done, their only thought is that they'll never have to study again. Or for those who are privileged enough to go to college, they say they'll jump straight into a master's or postgrad program because if they stop after their degree, they won't want to study anymore. In other words, the vast majority sees studying as something boring and tedious. But if you take a moment to observe people who've risen in life, not those who were born rich or cheated their way to the top, but those who fought and made it, you'll notice they're not necessarily the smartest or even the hardest workers. They're always the ones who learn the most. They go to bed better than when they woke up, learning from both failures and successes, and even more, they learn from other people's experiences. This doesn't make a huge difference overnight, but when you think long-term, 10 or 20 years from now, and many of us will live much longer than that, this small daily advantage becomes enormous. Tip number 6, and the final tip, be a constant learner every single day. Make it a daily habit. Knowledge is one of the few assets no one can take away from you, and the more you learn, the more prepared you'll be to face challenges, seize opportunities, and build a solid future. It doesn't have to be something monumental every day. The key is consistency. Learn something new about your field, develop a skill, read a chapter of a book, or even reflect on your experiences and draw lessons from them. The secret is in accumulation. Today you learn something small, tomorrow something else. And a year from now, you'll see how much you've grown. In today's video, we've seen that the path to financial independence and a successful life isn't about looking rich or going with the flow. It's about building solid foundations, developing multiple income streams, learning continuously, and above all, focusing on the things that truly add value to your life. Every small change you make today, whether in how you use your time or manage your finances, can lead to huge results in the future. The secret is to act consciously and consistently. Subscribe to the channel for more valuable tips on transforming your financial life and achieving the freedom you've always dreamed of. I'll see you in the next video.